heard him before. Your songs are really well crafted.
Thank you.
It is clear that you put a lot of thought into the lyrics, or at least I'm going to argue you do. So if you don't, please don't tell me.
I do. And that's what makes it fun. So, to be honest.
Well, I mean, and I think you marry the music well with the lyrics and the sensibility that you're trying to create. I don't know if you think of yourself as a storyteller, but clearly your lyrics the songs have a narrative to them.
A lot of ballads, yeah.
Yeah,
Ballads.
I mean, which is no. Please don't see me as being judgmental. I just think that's some of the characteristics I see when I listen to your music.
I'm not taking anything you say personally.
Lovely. And then with me, that would get you far.
The funny thing about this song, this woman, Andrea, just sent me a message today, and I told her I was going to be on the air. I don't know if she's going to be listening or not, but
could happen.
She'll be very pleased to know that it's
her song playing.
Her song is playing.
So I should say Andrea, not Andrea, Andrea. And then how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Heider?
Heider. H-I-D-E, Heider, yeah, as in cleaners.
Oh, okay, I can remember that. So a little less than a minute.
Okay.
There is a cough button which does mute the mic.
Okay.
It mutes yours, it doesn't mute mine.
Okay.
But it's also not a problem.
Right.
If there's anything like that, I will cut that out of the file before I send it to you.
Okay.
Just so that it's as clean a file as possible for however you want to use it.
Okay.
There's no proprietary on my end information at all, or the university or the radio station's concerned.
Okay.
Anything we create here is yours to use.
Thank you.
In any way you like.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, mics are hot. Chris Heider here on your Tuesday afternoon alternative with Andrea's Fault. Chris Heider is my second guest for today, here for your Tuesday afternoon alternative every Tuesday, 3 to 6 p.m. on WUDR Dayton. Rockin' the Gem City, music in all directions. Support your local music scene. Chris, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, Art. It's a thrill.
It's a real pleasure to have you. I saw you at the Dayton Battle of the Bands contest.
Yes.
And I was just blown away. How do I not know about this guy? Really well-written songs. The music connects really well to the story that you're telling.
Thank you.
So how long have you been making music?
I started playing guitar when I was 10 years old, and then I started playing 8th grade at church. And that was more for popularity, I think, than anything. And then I carried it over into high school, and after that, people that I graduated with, classmates of mine, they asked me to play at their weddings, and then that kind of snowballed where I was doing weddings every weekend. And
oh dear.
So then after I married and had my 3 kids, I continued to play my guitar, but had a little bit of a fun event out in New England. My son got me into an open mic on a radio program. Ultimately, it's called the Folk Revival. I didn't realize it, but it was at the Newport Folk Festival.
Oh my.
And I played a song I wrote called Cocaine Crazy, and it was really just about the 60s. And well, long story short, this guy yelled out to me after we were done, and have you recorded that? And I said, no. He said, well, get a recording, send it to me, I'll play it on my station. So that was really got me going and got me thinking, well, maybe I can do this. And so there you go, a little bit of background.
Well, and how long have you been playing out in the Dayton area?
Probably for the last 7, 8 years. And I started off just doing open mics, and then I became an open mic host at Applebee's in Bellbrook.
Oh, yeah.
And then I ended up taking on 2 more at Submarine House on 725 and at Game Day way out in Waynesville. And was doing 3 a week and just having a blast, and all my friends are musicians, and that's how we kind of came into be. Play at the flea markets, wherever they'll help me play, I'll play.
Well, and you, should we call this the not day job or the evening job? Your day job was as a history professor?
I was a history teacher. You can call me professor if you want, but I was not.
I would like to do that.
I taught for 32 years, and then I retired, and this kind of became my occupation, and it's. Now it's kind of a fun thing I do, and and so yeah.
Well, I'm really curious about your approach to songwriting. How do you craft a song? How do you create a song?
It depends upon how I'm inspired, what inspires it. And so one of the first songs I wrote, Just Passing Through, which is part of my one-man band act, I don't know, it just was a difficult time in my life back in 2015, and it just kind of came out of me. And it just, I think it's kind of an inspirational tune, and I really do believe it just kind of came from God, and I'll take it from there. So
that song flowed through you.
just kind of, yeah, it just kind of came out of me. So.
And do you find that music, or your music in particular, is therapeutic? Does it help you, like you talk about dealing with the challenges you were facing in 2015? Does your music help kind of soothe the soul?
Without question. I mean, it's given me an opportunity to learn how to record it myself, and so I've made a lot of recordings myself. Some are very rank amateurish, but others I think they're getting better. My nephew Kevin Heider is also he's an outstanding singer-songwriter, plays all over the country. He taught me how to use some software, and so over the time I've gotten a little bit better at it and enjoy it a lot. And so especially during COVID, I'm telling you, it was a difficult time, period. But I think I wrote 7 or 8 songs during that time period. So
well, and the ability to record on your own is especially advantageous during COVID.
absolutely, yeah, because there's just no really way to do it any other way. And so just go into my little spare bedroom and
Has that
and have
become the studio now?
That's my studio. Yeah, for better or for worse.
Well, but I also think that there's something wonderful about taking the opportunity to try to find some positive in what's obviously a really, really awful situation, and create something wonderful out of that experience.
Yeah, it's been a blessing for me in many ways. It was something to keep my mind occupied, and whenever I could, if it was daytime, summertime, I was out of the house. I would go over to a park and play by myself, and but yeah, so.
Well, if you do that, you probably get a crowd going.
I do. Well, actually, not really. And people walking by, but I don't even know if they hear me. So.
Well, shoot, these days with all the earbuds and things in people's ears.
That's right.
I'm always saying excuse me as I'm walking down the hallway, and I realize later they didn't hear me, but I felt the need to say it nonetheless.
You got it.
But I'm envisioning, this sounds like probably a bad comedy sketch. You're playing out in the park, and suddenly a big crowd comes up, and then an officer's like, "Do you have a permit for this concert?" Well, no, officer, I'm just playing.
Right. Well, if I'd had a speaker and stuff like that set up, maybe I would have, but I didn't. So.
Well, fair point.
Yeah.
I'm also curious about your approach to writing a song. What comes to you first? Do the lyrics come first, or does the music come first?
Sometimes it's a chord progression that's first.
Mm-hmm.
Other times, like with this song "Andrea's Fault," it was a woman I met on a plane, and everything in that song is something that we discussed on a plane trip from Charlotte to Boston, and so obviously I had a crush on this woman, and there's so many female-inspired tunes that I've written, but she was a very special person, and the funny thing was, we got the baggage claim, as it says in the song, and her bag came, mine did not. And I told her I was a singer-songwriter, and I said, I might compose a song out of this. And so while I'm waiting for my bag on the next plane, I sat down, wrote down everything I could remember, and boom, came up with a song. So.
See, that's brilliant. That you took that moment, and in a way you immortalized it in a song.
Yeah, I've got all the sheets of paper that I would write things on and scribble them off and go to a next sheet, and so yeah, I keep track of all that stuff.
Well, when you become famous, then you can sell. No, I'm just being mean.
Well, hey, if I ever do, that would be awesome.
So make sure you hang on to those.
I do. I've got them all.
If you're just joining us, this is your Tuesday afternoon alternative on WUDR Dayton. We're rocking the Gem City, music in all directions. Support your local music scene. I'm here with Chris Heider. We're talking about his music. And I'm also curious, Chris, if your music, does it tend to be autobiographical, or is that just the way certain songs develop?
A lot of songs have to do with personal experience, absolutely. Discussions I've had with people that turned into songs, advice that I got from people that turned into songs, things that I wish I had not said that turned into songs or done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just that's kind of the way it works. And then once it kind of starts, I love playing with words. I love messing with rhymes. I'm on my computer. I'm looking up what rhymes with this, what rhymes with that, and it's just fun.
So it's almost like it's a puzzle for you, like a
Yeah.
logical puzzle to figure out?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, and I think that's really interesting. So all the things you could do, endless TV or streaming or whatever,
Right.
but you find a way to kind of use the inspiration from your everyday life
Right.
and turn that into music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find that is consistent with other musicians that you play with, or do you find that your approach is unique when you have conversations with other musicians?
I think it's very similar. In fact, I think a lot of times it starts with a chord progression that you like, and then if you were thinking about something in particular that warmed your heart, or that moved you, or that you were sad about, and I used to get a lot of flack for writing a lot of sad songs, but I think there are a lot of sad songs that are very therapeutic.
Yeah.
So, but that's just that's kind of the way it works for me.
Well, and writing about that, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, singing about those subjects or that sadness is a way of dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
Healing with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. Yeah. And I confess that I do listen to my own stuff because I'm always thinking, well, what could I add here? What could be added? What would be good there? The drums, the bass, whatever. And I can't do any of those things. I just play rhythm guitar. So it's a matter of piecing things together however I can. So.
Is it hard to listen to yourself?
When I get a good recording, not necessarily, no.
So the answer to that question is dependent on the quality of the recording.
That's right. The more you add little special effects to things, I a lot of times reverb will take care of a lot of issues. I've learned how to limit things and other things that you can add compression, but it does have a way of disguising little flaws in your voice. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And do you have difficulty listening to yourself? Like just say the raw vocal. Is that a challenge? I mean, because I occasionally listen to past programs or other things that I do, and I'm like, that guy is awful.
Yeah, well, I record the guitar part, which usually I record to a drum track so I can keep a beat, and then once I get the guitar part, if I can do it straight without screwing it up, then I go to the words, and I sing into a condenser mic and got the earphones on, and I'm listening to my music in the background, and then you got to piece it all together,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun.
Well, let's play another song of yours, "Not Your Guy."
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about that song before we play it? Because I wonder if we all kind of know by the title what's it about.
Well, here's the thing, I confess I'm on a dating site, and I've met some really wonderful people, and I'm currently conversing with one that I like very much. There was another one that I had been conversing with, and she was a little bit further away from me. She was down in Louisville, Kentucky, and when I corresponded with her, I basically said, look, I'm not your guy, but I told her, I said, don't you ever dare settle for anything less than what you deserve. And that's how the song kind of came out of it. So it's not really a love song so much to anybody, it's just kind of what came out. So
here it is.
Here we go.
By Chris Heider, "Not Your Guy," from his record, "Just Passing Through." You're doing great.
Thank you, man. That's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you for coming in. I mean, that's... all these years we've really tried to focus on local music and local musicians.
Yeah.
I have had young ladies sitting where you're sitting here, three young ladies who were 14 and had a band.
Yeah.
And had songs out. They didn't have a record contract, but they had songs available out online. And I've had a couple musicians in their 80s
Yeah.
in here, and all different kinds of genres.
Yeah.
It,
I've met some incredible performers at open mic, and I'm thinking, God, he can play the guitar behind his head. He can do all these things, you know, and just it's amazing what people do.
And our area in particular, right, is really, really fortunate or blessed because of all the great musicians that we have in the area.
Yeah.
And I would jokingly say there must be something in the water, but whether it's spiritual or whether it's just the history of music in the city, right? Because musicians have been performing in Dayton going back to the 1930s.
Yeah.
You know, the old barn tours and things like that.
Right.
Country music, or country and western as it used to be called, and
Right.
things like that. I mean, Elvis Presley played here, but so did Hank Williams. Right? A lot of funk came out of this area too, right? So, and everything in between.
That's right. This is the capital of the funk world.
I believe it. I believe that's true. Or at least that's certainly the argument that I make.
Yeah.
And in many ways, like the indie or alternative or electronic or whatever kind of music, right? There's a lot of great Americana and country music right now in our area, right? But they're in many ways indebted to the past musicians and performers who laid that foundation or that infrastructure.
You got it. Yeah, no question.
But it is a lovely it's a lovely community to be a part of, and the musicians are. There may be healthy rivalries, but they're healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Battle of the Bands was just a fun experience, and I want to give a shout out to Libby. So.
Oh yeah, and
they bring that up.
Libby does lots of great events, and that's certainly one of them.
That's one of them.
And I mean, I think the Bright Side is a great venue. They do great work.
Outstanding.
We're really fortunate in this town, again, also because of the great venues to play in, right? Whether it's restaurants that are really opening for musicians or welcoming for musicians would be the better term.
There's a lot of competition. I mean, I called today about the flea markets, and I played so much at Caesars Creek, and she filled her whole calendar for the whole year already.
Oh, already? So, oh dear, it's not even gotten warm yet.
Well, it's an opportunity for other people. Maybe they're just pushing me aside, but that's fine. Yeah.
Well, my guess is just that there's just so many performers.
There's a ton of people. Yeah.
Oh, pardon me, excuse me. And there's so many good performers too.
Yep. Here we go. A ton of them. Unbelievable, really.
Mics are hot. Chris Heider here on your Tuesday afternoon alternative on WUDR. So, Chris, there's almost a sing-song quality to that.
Yeah. That was, I had fun writing that. To be honest with you, I based it on the photos and things that we had spoken to one another via text, and just kind of, I just love playing with words and messing around with it, and that's kind of the way it works for me.
Well, and it just feels authentic. It feels real.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't really try to model it after anybody else's stuff. I've listened to a lot of other people's music, but what comes out of me is what comes out of me, and I figure, well, if I get famous because of it, great. If not, it's fine. It's fun. It's just a great thing to do. Keep myself occupied, keep my brain occupied too, so.
Oh, absolutely. So you mentioned earlier you played the guitar since you were a young boy.
Right, yeah.
Did you ever take any formal lessons or anything like that?
You know, I did. My mom used to drive me and my brother down to Howard Music on First Street, and I took lessons with a session guitar player at WLW. His name was Chick Gatwood. Incredible guitar player, and my brother and I started together, and my brother decided to back out, And I can remember, well, my mom told me this later, but Chick had said basically, well, he's a little bit better than this other guy you got here. So, but it turned out, worked out okay for me. So, but he was an outstanding guitarist, and so.
Well, do you regularly play the Bright Side, or when you play Battle of the Bands? And thank you, Libby. What a great
Yes,
event that was.
absolutely.
Libby Ballingy and all the people at the Bright Side put together a really terrific event. And if I remember correctly, Bohemian Funk won the whole Battle of the Bands.
Right.
But every night that I was there, I went several nights, and there's just great music every night.
Yeah.
Was that your first time playing the Bright Side?
Yeah, in fact, I completely forgot that I filled out a registration form, and that was probably back in November or October. And January 3rd, I got my email, and the first message I saw was, "You're in." And I'm in what?
Exactly.
And so it turned out we were in. We ended up being the very first band to perform out of 24, but it was just a thrill to be invited to play. And Libby and all of those folks were just fantastic. They did a great job.
It was a great event, and so many different kinds of music.
Yeah.
We've got several artists who played the Battle of the Bands coming on the show. It's like, okay, wait, how do I not know about you? So clearly I need to get out even more. I'm not so sure Mrs. Dr. J would feel that way. We go to a lot of different music events, but maybe I have serious FOMO, right? Because we were talking off air. There's so much great music in our area.
Yeah, there is.
Of every kind of style you can imagine.
And appreciate people like you that get out there and give people like me an opportunity to talk about this. So I really appreciate this opportunity, and you're very good, obviously, at what you do. So.
Oh, you were too kind. Do not cash that check. It's going to bounce so high. But no, in all seriousness, I was really blown away by your storytelling. I mean, you didn't just sing a song, but you were able to tell stories that were compelling. I frequently do this when I'm at shows. And Tracy, my wife, Mrs. Dr. J, will always say things like, stop looking around the room, right? Focus, but I look around the room because I'm curious, are people into it?
Yeah.
Right? Are they connected? Is the music, is the musician, the band, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Is it reaching people? Is
Right.
it connecting with people? And I'm looking around, and not just you, but a lot of the terrific musicians who played the 3 shows I went to for Battle of the Bands. So I think, what is that, 4 a night? So I think I saw 12. And like with your set was part of that pattern where I look around and people are into it.
Yeah.
Right? It's there's the toe tapping and the head nodding and all of that, and the shuffling that people do to the music. But the way people were like hanging on the story.
Well, it wasn't just me. There were 3 of us on stage that night, and Greg Dart, my percussionist, djembe player, bongos, all the things that he adds just makes it that much more fun and enjoyable, and adds more substance to the song. And then the gentleman I was introduced to through his son, I asked his son to be my bass player, Chris Vince, and Chris said, well, you don't want me, you want my dad. And his dad's been playing since the 1960s in this area, and he's incredible, fantastic. So got a new lead guitarist, guy by the name of Nelson Forrester. I'm going to go practice with him tomorrow. So we're coming along.
Well, and that combination, is that the Red Bandana Band?
That's the Red Bandana Band, yeah. And there's a story to that I didn't tell that night, but I tell that if you're interested in that. But we can get to that.
I would love to know the story behind that.
Yeah. Well, it's a tribute to a young man who died when Tower 2 collapsed on September 11, 2001. His name was Wells, Wells, Remy Crowther, Remy, and then Crowther. And I learned about him through my son. Wells graduated from Boston College in 1999. He went on to be an equities trader on the 104th floor of Tower 2. They were evacuating the building at the time. My son, jump ahead 2008, 2012, he went to Boston College. And every year they would have the Man in the Red Bandana run. And I learned about that through him, through an ESPN video that was made of Wells called The Man in the Red Bandana. And it just touched me. It just touched me. I just cried and wept when I saw that. And it's very emotional. Well, it turns out my son is actually in the video. He's putting on a red bandana, but you can't see his face because his arms are in the way.
Right.
But at the end of the video, there's a group of runners running toward the camera, and he's on the left-hand side, second row, and it's my son Ben. And so it had that connection and so many different things.
Yeah.
But so now when we play, I try to give a shout out, and then we donate money to the Wells Crowther Trust, and it's very fulfilling to do that.
That's a lovely thing to do.
It just moves my heart, and something that I really feel is important. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that you pay tribute to him and his courage in the face of tragedy, right? It is just, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
You're listening to your Tuesday afternoon alternative here on WUDR Dayton. My guest right now is Chris Heider. He is a terrific Dayton musician. Check out our website and our social media for links to some of his music. I was really shocked. I asked you, are there any songs we can play on the radio? And you send me a link to this website. I'm thinking, okay, there might be a couple songs. I'm like, there are 20 songs here. Oh my goodness, there are 20 songs here. So do you see yourself as fairly prolific? You must write a lot.
Well, some that I wrote way back in the late 70s, before I even graduated from high school. I was starting to write songs. And a song I wrote called Avarice, I wrote back in 1977. A song that I wrote as a way of honoring a cousin of mine, first cousin, who decided on Christmas or on Easter Day way back then that he was going to hitchhike to the coast. And he's on the front steps of our porches from cousins from Buffalo, and he tells his mom and dad and my grandparents he's leaving.
Yeah.
He's of age, he's leaving. He's going to go to the West Coast. And so he's still out in Oregon. That's where he is today. But I wrote a song about him called Traveler that kind of moved me. So I never interviewed him for the song. It's just my take on the song, and I think I was depressed when I wrote it.
Well, hopefully it was therapeutic, and you were able to process how you felt about his leaving.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to play Stand Up from Just Passing Through. What can you tell us about that song?
Well, that first of all, that was recorded live at my producer. I'm going to call him my producer, Mike Stark. He's very, very good at what he does in this area, and it's a part-time thing, and he's got a studio out in Fairborn. And I'm hoping to record all of my songs with Mike, and occasionally I'll rent out his studio for the band to practice. But at any rate, he recorded us live, and so you'll hear me talking in the background to some of the people that are playing, but yeah. How am I doing? We're doing all right?
Great. Because there's a driving percussive element to this that I really liked.
Well, the interesting thing about this, I came down, a friend of mine who ended up moving into our Platte, just down from where I live. I didn't even know it. And he had a custom Jeep shot down there, and he was a former Marine. And I came down to him just sobbing, just crying my eyes out.
Oh, really?
About an incident that happened in the family, and he says, I'm going to give you some advice, and I know you can take it. And it's basically what it is. And his words were me to basically shut your mouth, get your chin up, get your chest down. Don't worry about what everybody else is thinking. Don't apologize. All that.
Yeah.
Those are his words.
Yeah. It reminds me of like a Crosby, Stills and Nash song.
Thank you. That's a tribute. So. These words are going to be revised the whole
I don't know
win
if
the
there's
race.
anything wrong with your sentiment.
It's just the win the race thing. So I'm trying to figure out a different way I can.
Oh,
put
to
that.
say that a different way.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there's always songs evolve,
Yeah.
right? You play it live and you realize, oh, saying this is better than what I originally wrote, or
Right.
you know, or maybe I'm saying this too strong, or I'm not saying this strong enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like the song.
It's fun to play, and it's always nice too when your bandmates like your songs enough that they want to play them. So,
Oh, well, there you go.
you know,
That's the secret sauce, right? Because if everyone's excited about the song,
yeah,
then there's just that little extra emphasis.
it helps.
Yeah.
To know that they're into it. So it's been fun.
Well, do you need to tune or anything before
do
we
whatever.
come back? I was going to ask if you could, do a
Yeah.
song or two live for us.
Sure. I'm trying to think what I'll do.
Well, that's totally up to you.
I'll pull this out of the way here.
Oh yeah.
And does this thing come up or? Do it
Oh yeah.
Okay. I gotta stand up to do this. We'll do just passing through. Or are you planning on playing that?
I've seen the elephant up there.
Seeing the elephant.
So if you want to do just passing through, that
I'll
totally
do just
fits.
passing through. Put this on. All right.
I'll just catch some guitar down here with this friend.
What's that?
Oh, I'm just moving this over to.
Oh, okay.
Catch some of the
Gotcha.
guitar with that too.
Okay.
Mike, sir, huh?
Okay.
Chris Heider here on your Tuesday afternoon alternative with a terrific song from his Just Passing Through record, Stand Up. You're listening to YTAA here on WUDR, Dayton. I've convinced Chris after many negotiations. I'm kidding. Chris was very, very generous. You got something for us, Chris?
I do. I was going to play Just Passing Through, but I think I'll want to do a different tune that I wrote. Happened right at the beginning of COVID, and so I called it The Perfect Storm. So here we go. Stars misaligned, perfectly imperfect, cruel, unkind. This wasn't our time. We were rhythm without rhyme. Out of the norm, a perfectly imperfect, perfect storm. All the forces converge. The river swells, but missed the surge. Cloud of fashion we both ignored. Time, distance, and passion propelled us forward. Centrifugal forces, whirlwinds form, casting us out to a perfect storm. A perfect storm. A perfect storm. A perfect storm. as I gave you mine. The stars weren't in line, just 2 moments lost in time. Love without form is a perfectly imperfect, perfect storm. Wanted to be you. We were one once, now we're two. Clouds of fashion we both ignored. Time, distance, and passion repelled us forward. Centrifugal forces, whirlwind swarm, cast us out to a perfect storm. A perfect storm. A perfect storm. A perfect storm.
Chris Heider here on your Tuesday afternoon alternative. Have you always sang? You have a lovely texture to your voice.
I've been singing since grade school, yeah. And yeah, so it's just, I've heard good things about it, and so I'm kind of a rhythm guitarist, singer. I'm not a lead guitarist, and
Yeah.
singing is, I think, is what I do, probably.
Did you sing in church?
I did, yeah. And it worked out okay. So, praise the Lord music, I guess, huh?
Well, and a lot of those songs are difficult to sing.
Yeah.
And you really learn how to control your voice.
Well, you know, when you do this stuff over and over and over, I think, you know, what I've discovered is my voice has actually gone from kind of a bass baritone. It's kind of moved up the ladder a little bit. And so, you know, as long as I learn not to struggle, not to stress, and just relax, stuff comes out for the most part.
Well, and that's actually quite wise. When you strain,
Yeah.
you're not only working harder than you may need to,
Right.
but you're forcing your voice to fit a certain idea or to fit a certain space. When if you relax, you can often have greater resonance
Yeah.
and greater presence to your voice.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate the compliment, and it's just when you do this stuff and you're constantly in a room recording it, it just, you know, you get better at it, I think. So, thank
Do you record like on a regular basis, like every day or at least a few times a week or something like that?
It depends upon once the song gets going, and I use 2 different programs to do it, and now I've just recently bought some new equipment, which is wild and crazy, because now I can record it as I'm singing it, different tracks,
Right.
and it mixes it all together, and I don't have to do anything like what I used to do. I don't have to match, like if I forget to pronounce a D, I got to find another D someplace in the song where I can kind of match it up so that you hear the D. So it's just interesting how it all comes together.
Well, and tools and software, the equipment has gotten
Unbelievable.
so not just good but usable.
Right. Well, like Not Your Guy, I recorded that in one take into my new sound system. The perfect, well, there's other ones too, but that's one in particular. So
Yeah. Can we get another song from you?
sure. Just trying to think of what it should be.
Well,
this
whatever
is
you
one that we
pick is
did
the
at,
right one.
I hope this one's okay to do if it meets the censors. Remember 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck?
I do. Oh, I do. I meant to grab that song and was pressed for time.
Well, I'll keep it pretty clean. For the most part, it is clean. So
Yeah, I don't think that's too worrisome, but I trust your good judgment.
well, interesting thing about this real quick story is that literally 2 ballerinas pulled up alongside me and a pickup truck. And I've always wanted to write a country song, so this is told from the perspective of a trucker who's got a bird's eye view of what's ahead. And it's my only country tune, so we'll see what happens. Come on, here we go. Okay, I'll almost start it again. Drive an 18-wheeler coast to coast, crisscrossing down the line. In my articulated glory, I'm a sucker with neon signs. Paid the water bill out of town, hammers down, I'm feeling fine. Up on the sweet seat, covers down, left at 8:45. I'm burning more than my fair share of feed the bear infractions. With semi-pros and four-wheel lovers drove me to distraction. I never will forget the day I spied with my Dunlop, 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. I couldn't make out who was driving, but she sure as heck was on the fritz. And then that cracker riding shotgun, Lord have mercy, he looked ticked. The speaker sleeping beauty standing bar gave me the LA shakes. See, if you're too hard to skip, and let's go skinny dipping in Swan Lake. Cinderella's on point, I want some big beginning, skin tight leotards and all your pirouettes. Never will forget the day I spied with the Dunlop, 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. Cinderella's on point, but won't soon be forgetting, skin time leotards and all your pirouettes. Romeo and Juliet don't live to see another. I'm jackknifing, dragging, wagon, crying to my mother. I got a big rig, coast to coast, crisscrossing county line. This ballerina's got me thinking about cut off his pickup line. If I had to choose between them, well, it's Prince Charming, he's in luck. I got a 1 but 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. Burning more than my fair share of beat the bear infractions. Semi-pros and four-wheel lovers drove me to distraction. I never will forget the day I spied with my Dunlop, 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. I got 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck. 2 ballerinas in a pickup truck.
Oh yeah, oh come on. That's just great. That
It
has to
took
be
me
fun.
7 years to write it because that happened 7 years ago, and I tapped on the window and said, "Hey, you guys just gave me an idea for a tune." So
What would they say when you did that?
they just laughed. So yeah,
Well, I just think it's such a fun song,
thank you.
right? That
It is.
and these days more than ever,
Right.
we need a little more, nice fun in our lives.
We need more Ted Lassos in this world today.
Yeah, would that really be so bad?
Oh my Lord, Ted Lasso. Yeah, that's a song right there.
Oh, surely somebody somewhere is working on that. And
I'm
if
sure
they're
they are.
not, you should. And based just on that last song, I think you could pull it off.
Yeah, maybe.
There are different characters in the show that you could make reference to.
Oh, there's so many. What a great show. Yeah.
I agree, and I just like how it's not insulting, and it's not purposefully attacking anybody.
Right.
We could use, there's enough. I always say repeatedly, and forgive me, dear listeners, who are rolling their eyes, and rightly so. There's enough negativity in the universe. I don't need to add to it.
Absolutely not. And, you know, his advice, for those that know anything about the show, Ted Lasso, to me, it's the all-time greatest show I've ever personally watched, seen. There's some coarse language here and there, but it is so good. And things like be curious, not judgmental, and different quotes that come out of the guy. It's just really inspirational. Funny as heck and just awesome. So
We could use more positivity like that, I think.
today, yeah, crazy times.
This is your Tuesday afternoon alternative. Hi there, I'm Dr. J. I come to you every Tuesday from 3 to 6 p.m. with a few exceptions, right? We had to take a break over Christmas, but you don't remember that. We're here almost every Tuesday from 3 to 6 p.m. on WUDR Dayton. Rockin' the Gem City, music in all directions, support your local music scene. Oh my goodness, Chris, the hour has just flown by. Can you believe that?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun. I knew it would.
Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come in, play for us, you know, tell us the stories behind some of your songs. Would you come back sometime?
I would love to, and before you kick me out of here, I just want to say a big thank you to my former bandmates, good friends, Marcia Cornwell, who played bass for me at one point, Alex Bilbrey, who played lead guitar, and Sue Miller, who also provided backup vocals, and drummer Don Weiniger. They were all terrific.
So do you have any shows coming up?
Well, got a couple at Clifton Opera House, which is always a lot of fun. We're going to play there on July 23rd, and this year, and then we play again on October 1st, so they booked us twice. I'm playing at my sister's apartment complex for over 50-year-olds, and I played there a couple weeks back, and they want me to come back, and we had a lot of fun, so I'm going to do that again. There's a Bellbrook Art Fest, I think, coming up, or Maple Sugar Fest, that a friend of mine, Greg, says that we can get in there, and so whoever will take us, we'll do it.
Well, you know, how about next week? No, I'm kidding. You got stuff you need to do. I have no doubt about that. Yeah. If somebody wants to reach out to you, to contact you, or find out more about your music, how can someone do that?
Well, I'm on Facebook, or you can just simply email me, chrisheidermusic@gmail.com, or even better, to know that people are actually looking at my website. It's generating some traffic. If you go to www.chrisheidermusic.com, it's a site that I made. It's too detailed, way too much, but there's forms you can fill out, and boom, I'll check to see if you're there and if you need me for anything. So that'd be great.
Well, thank you again for coming in. I really appreciate you being generous with your time to come in and talk to us.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
So we're getting ready to wind down your Tuesday afternoon alternative for another week. Thank you, dear listener, for taking time out of your day to be with us in what is obviously Tuesday afternoons.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with an all-new program. We're going to leave you with some Chris Heider, another song that I love from Just Passing Through, Seeing the Elephant. Anything you want to tell us about that song, Chris?
You know, when I think about people trekking across North America and all in the name of imperialism and manifest destiny and all that kind of stuff, I just marvel at the distance they had to travel and all of the things that they experienced along the way. And I used to show a film in my class called, it was about the West, and the thing was, when you've seen the elephant, you've seen it all. And people really didn't know what they were looking for, but you knew it when you got to the coast that you'd seen it all. So, thank you, Art.
Thank you, good sir. Thank you, Facebook people. Oh, hey, bunch of people saying you were awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.